Get you. Yeah, I want to get you with.
Ball.
Oh well, for some reason it is not working. But good afternoon, everyone. Um, this is Friday, and I always say thank God it's Friday, and I say that for two reasons. We've had a wonderful, productive work week, as well as when Friday comes, you know what that means. We're back.
Especially with this. This is Pay Friday, so it's even sweeter.
Yes, this is Pay Friday. Yes. And this is another edition of the CareSouth Carolina Community Live Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mark Calhoun, the Director of Social and Community Services for CareSouth Carolina. As always, I'm here with my partner in crime.
Hi, I'm Daniel Myers. I'm the MAT SUD Program Director for CareSouth Carolina. And Marek, I want to make one disclaimer. I said something online that I probably shouldn't have said. I was just joking about the day being payday. So if anybody looking to borrow money, I'm not available. I have my people call your people.
I showed about that.
I need you to give it all to me. I need you to give me all your money. I don't want to borrow it.
Absolutely. So today is also a special day here on the podcast. Daniel, what's the date, sir?
Man, 365 days ago, we did our very first podcast for CareSouth Carolina. 365 days ago, in the midst of a pandemic, we found a way to still get information, education, and everything that our communities need to them through this podcast. And thanks to our CEO, Miss Ann Lewis, she allowed us to do this, and I've been enjoying it and loving it ever since. Marek, are you crying? You crying, Marek? Don't do it.
Absolutely. I've been likewise, I've enjoyed every minute of it. This has been a wonderful experience. I know I've learned a lot with each show, each episode we did. There was always something new to learn, during the process, and I've enjoyed every step of the way.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we have some special guests joining us here today. We're gonna start and let Mr. Davis, as you see his name down there, and introduce himself, and then we'll go around the room and let the ladies introduce themselves as well.
Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Jonathan Davis. I'm the chiropractor here at CareSouth Carolina.
Yeah, and my apologies, Dr. Davis. I will put that right handle on your name, sir.
No worries.
All right. Ladies.
Okay, I'll go. I was gonna let Miss Ann go, but I'm LaToya McGuinn. I'm the site administrator for our Chirac office of CareSouth, located here in Chirac, South Carolina.
And I am Ann Lewis. I'm the CEO of CareSouth Carolina, and I'm always humbled to be invited to the podcast. And wow, what a cool thing. Thank y'all.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
absolutely. So I kind of asked Dr. Davis to start it off because he was like our very first guest on the podcast, and it was very fitting to our first guest to have him come back for the anniversary show and kick us off for the new what we call in the new year for the podcast. So, Dr. Davis, how you doing? Tell us, how's things been going since your appearance on the podcast?
There's been a lot of changes over the last year with COVID and things like that taking place, and trying to modify the practice, if you will, along with seeing the volume of people that I see and having to cut down on making sure we don't have quite as many people or patients in the lobbies at one time. So there's a lot of changes that took place during all this, but we've adjusted, and and we're almost back full force running, but still some modifications we have to take place. It was hard going from busy to slowing down, trying to get patients seen like they needed to be seen. And it's also been just as hard trying to go from slow back busy because you're trying to figure out how to get appointments going, how to get patients in, making sure everybody gets seen, gets the care that they need. So it's been interesting, but we've worked it out. We've made it happen, and we're, like I said, we're pretty much almost back full force. We've had the vaccinations taking place recently, and a lot of people have been seen at CareSouth, and we're making modifications and we're making it work. That's about the best way I know to put it in this time of crisis that we've been through. So, but it's been good. Chiropractically, patients are coming in and, they're wanting to boost their immune system. They want to make sure that their body is in top notch, they're at the highest level. They want to make sure that their quality of life is at its, at the highest level. That way, if for some reason they were to get sick, they would have the best fighting chance. So that's pretty much the way that we're addressing it and moving forward. Just wanting people to be healthy and enjoying life. That's where we're at with it.
Well, Dr. Davis, we always enjoy having you on. And I'm glad to have you. And we're glad to have you in Atlanta those 2 days a week. For 3 reasons. One, because you're one of the coolest guys I know, and everybody.
Please.
Okay. Number two, Marie, you might want to make your screen a little bit bigger because that's head's going to get big. Number 2 is because patients always bring you snacks, and so I always come down there and visit.
They do. I'm always getting snacks and food.
And number 4, you have one of the best teams in CareSouth working with you, and they're a pleasure to be around all day, every day. And I know our patients love you, and and they talk highly of you guys, and it's just wonderful to have you here. And so, one question: How have this podcast changed your practice?
I was shocked. It wasn't until yesterday, I think it was, maybe the day before yesterday. My sister comes up to me. She tells me, she says, you were, up at the top as far as views went, for people that were watching the podcast. And I didn't even realize that could be tracked, so I'm sitting there thinking, oh, now what am I going to do now? How are we going to make this interesting, So, the podcast is amazing. I think it's, being able to get people with different specialties and different locations within CareSouth, because not a lot of people realize literally how many employees that are here to all the different jobs that CareSouth has. It is phenomenal. And, so it's really amazing to get so many people together. This is a way to reach the masses, reach large, populations of people so that they can truly see, what CareSouth's about. I think it's amazing.
Wonderful. But once again, we're glad to have you. Glad to have you on the anniversary edition. Dun, 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 dun. That's my music. That's my anniversary music.
You guys do an amazing job. You really do. You really do.
We're working on the music. We're gonna have a real intro after a while. My record's working on that, but we're gonna have some real music. So LaToya, hey, just be patient with me. I'm the best instrument we got right now. Play all of them.
It sounded good. I liked it.
Yeah, right. we actually did have a intro prepared and done, but I guess the bandwidth and where I'm at is not that well, so it wouldn't connect. So next time you get to see it roll out next time.
Yeah.
I do want to make one more comment too and put this plug in. For my practice to be in 2 separate locations, to have, seeing, large numbers or large volume of people trying to get people healthy, I couldn't have done one single bit of it without my team. Like you were saying earlier, they're phenomenal. They're relentless. They're on board with the mission of trying to get people well, trying to get people healthier, wanting people to have less pain. enjoy a better quality of life. That's why chiropractic is working, hand in hand with the MAT program with patients in pain and the providers. Also, patients who, have, mental health issues and behavioral health counselors, being able to help the patients, because people who are in pain, they suffer from a lot of different areas of pain, not necessarily just back pain and stuff like that. So, without my team, there's no way I would be able to do this without the referrals of the providers, and everyone that works at CareSouth. It's just a huge, the camaraderie of chiropractic and medical since I've been here, absolutely phenomenal. I love it.
Absolutely. I remember when Ms. Ann said we were getting a chiropractor, I was like, what? Chiropractic. Okay.
Yeah.
That's different. And here we are. We fast forward to now, and it's like, I'm like, we got a chiropractor. This really added value to what CareSouth brings to the community. Having you, and being able to work between the two areas of what we call the north side and the south side, being able to work between both of those to touch as many patients as you touch. And we definitely appreciate you being here, Doc. And I got some shoulder pain. I wish you was a shoulder practice, but
Yeah.
I got you.
But I do have
how many integrated practices there are in the country right now. There's so many practices. All chiropractors are going in with medical, and believe it or not, I have 3 chiropractor friends of mine who just hired medical doctors in their practice. Oh, wow. So it's amazing. They're in Nashville, at Myrtle Beach, and it's starting to expand, and it's doing really well.
Well, and one thing, I think CareSouth pioneered this in this area. I think we have kind of opened the doors and opened the eyes of many people, because me personally, I understand the importance of chiropractic. I couldn't ride my motorcycle if it wasn't for you, and early on in my life, I couldn't be in the patrol. I had to get in, riding the patrol car all day with this belt on, this gun on and everything, it puts you out of alignment. And so having chiropractors even then, gave me the quality of life, because without them, hey, I would have been in terrible shape. So thank you for allowing me to ride my bike, and now if you can just take over payment for me. If you take over payment for me, we'd be even.
Yeah.
Well, the person we need to thank is in the top corner up there, Miss Ann Lewis. She's the one that brought me on board, and again, Miss Ann, I thank you. I enjoy it. I love working for CareSouth. I literally would not change a single thing about where we're at here. And thank you again.
Marie, do you have a cleaner so we can wipe off this, because it's getting kind of thick?
I don't never get to see her or talk to her. I have to talk to her.
And if I can interject and share my chiropractic experience with Dr. Davis, I know he probably doesn't remember me, because I was like 9 months pregnant when I visited him. So my face was like this huge, but my daughter was, when I was pregnant, I want to say around my 36th week pregnancy, an ultrasound was done, and my baby was in a transverse lie, so she wasn't head down like she was supposed to. So I was seeing a midwife, because I was determined I was going to have this natural homeopathic birth, and that's a whole other story. But she suggested that I see a chiropractor for a technique. I believe it's called the Webster technique. Is that
Webster's technique? Yeah.
And so I contacted Dr. Davis's staff, and they put me on the schedule. So he did the technique. It was really cool, and I could feel her moving around when he was doing it. And when I went back for my next ultrasound, she was head down. So it worked. So there's so much, like you said, there's so much stuff that chiropractic practices, can do, with the body. And I thought that was one that was amazing. And that was
Thank you.
Cool. That is cool.
Yeah. Yes. Well, let's if we could shift gears a little bit, let's talk about CareSouth as a whole. And we're gonna go to Ms. Ann. What changes have you seen over the last year with CareSouth as Corona we had to adjust to coronavirus, or COVID-19 as they call it?
Oh, nothing. It's pretty much stayed the same. Where to begin? I've been the CEO for 40 years, right at 40 years. And this past year has, well, if I were to try to pick 1 year out of all those 40s, that was really an extraordinary year for more than one reason. I mean, we've had some years where we did massive expansion, and some years that, the bottom fell out, and it was a daily struggle. But this 2020 year and on into 2021, it has taken the cake. From pivoting overnight practically to everyone that was not a frontline worker essentially working from home. I mean, it was just like whoosh. Things that we'd never thought we could do. We not only pivoted to working from home, but we also took so many patients from a face-to-face in the office to a telehealth. Telehealth had been, everybody been, oh, yeah, telehealth. And then it was just about literally overnight that all of a sudden, this was the only way, or one of the best ways, to get care out to patients. It was, and it wasn't just us, frankly. The whole healthcare system, frankly, across the world did this, but it was absolutely amazing. Then we had to deal with testing, and that was just something we've never done before. Massive 500 and 600 person events for testing, partnerships with DHEC. I mean, it went on and on. It was the stuff that we've never done, never even thought of. Money started, frankly, rolling in. Congress recognized that not just FQHCs, but rural providers, we were at the forefront of this. So there was enormous opportunity. With opportunity comes great demand, accountability for all of that. We bought 5, we bought 4, and Care First Foundation bought the 5th one of those little mobile vans that we call Mobies. That was groundbreaking. No one else has even thought of having mobile outreach for testing. And we knew that the day would come when eventually vaccinations would roll out, and boom, January hit. And vaccinations started rolling. It was just extraordinary. CareSouth reached our own herd immunity. As of last Friday, I think we are over 25,000 vaccinations.
Wow.
Think of that. We're not a really big health system. There's hospitals that haven't done that much vaccination. Sure, it slowed down, but this pandemic isn't over by any means. There's a Delta variant out there. Once again, though, FQHCs have been recognized by Congress as being a cornerstone. I've said this before, and in the last few weeks, nothing has been more of a proof than this. FQHCs and CareSouth, we were made for this. And by this, I mean addressing the pandemic. We were ready. We knew how to do outreach. Marek had community health workers. People were going, what is a CHW? And we were going, sit down, let us tell you all about it. People were saying, well, what about opioid addiction? And we were going, sit down, let us tell you about that. FQHC, CareSouth and FQHCs, we were made. We knew how to do this. We could share our experiences, share how the community works, and we're making a difference. The pandemic isn't over. We've got a little breather. Granted, thank goodness, we could use it, but it isn't over. And in the middle of this pandemic, our country faced some of the worst racial divides that we'd ever faced. With the George Floyd issue, the George Floyd murders, the issues that we were hearing about, it is as devastating to me as it felt like back in the 60s and 70s, and we're not done. And I know LaToya is gonna tell us about Juneteenth and what that's gonna mean. And if you look at my video today, there's a board meeting next week, and with this new federal holiday, I'll be taken to the board that CareSouth observes all federal holidays. So I hope I have a really good announcement for y'all next Friday on my video. But folks, it has been an incredible year, a year that you've stepped up so much. You know, this podcast, I got to tell you this. When people across the state, folks that are leading the pandemic in terms of addressing epidemiology, Dr. Jane Kelly, when folks across the state are invited to this podcast, they're going, oh yeah, we got invited to the CareSouth podcast. They brag about it. Honestly, I've heard it happen. So you've really made an incredible, you've made a big splash, and you're making a really big difference. So I can't tell you how much this podcast has meant and the difference it's made. And what a year it's been.
Wow. Well, we are always humbled. We're always humbled to have this opportunity. I know me and my rep, we don't take it lightly that we have this opportunity to address issues, to have different guests on, you know, and introduce our people to our people, because we're so spread out now. Everybody don't know everybody. I think when I started working at CareSouth, we were just barely breaking 300 people, if we had broke 300 people then, and now we over 500 people, and so it's a bunch of additions, you know, new family members. So this podcast helps us stay in touch with each other as well as with outside people outside of our communities.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you, Ms. My rec, your mic is off.
Appreciate it. If we could look to the future, Miss Ann, what's on the horizon for CareSouth Carolina this coming year? Because just based on, you know, my ins and outs and meetings, looks like we're going to have a pretty big year, and with some different programs, some different things coming up. Could you enlighten us on what the future outlook for this coming year for CareSouth looks like?
Oh yeah, it's going to be quite a year. You know, Congress has been very good to FQHCs. They've recognized, you know, what I said, that we were born for this. There have been some incredible grants. You know, whenever the offices were closed, and patients not coming in, even though telehealth was available, it hit hard on the revenue. But Congress made a really commitment to assuring that FQHCs didn't suffer, so to speak, and to really give us a leg up even. So there's some pretty cool things going to be happening. New staffing, outreach is going to be a major effort. Value-based care is going to be right at the top of our agenda with a real big focus on that. I announced last week that Dr. Janiqua Duncan actually is moving into a new position called Chief of Value-Based Care. And it's going to be a big deal in terms of figuring out new ways to make sure that patients have access to care and that it's of value to them. We're building a new building right now as we speak in Dillon, and it should be open. I'm hoping before the new year starts. Weather's always a bit of a tricky issue, but we're thinking Dillon could be complete by the end of the year. And we have gotten approved for another new building in Chiral. Go Chiral.
Yes.
We are in the process of purchasing the land. We've got a beautiful piece of property on State Road, and that's going to come together great. That building is going to look a lot about the building that opened in Chesterfield, which was in the middle of a pandemic also. So it's going to rival 2020. 2021 is going to rival 2020. And 22 is going to be right on the heels of it. It's going to be an exciting year.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm excited on some of the like you said, the new buildings that are going up, as well as some of the new programs and initiatives that we will be pushing forward. Some of the innovative things that we're going to be doing with the Mobies. I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, we got things coming to address disease specific patients, and so I'm excited. Excited. Absolutely. So is there Dr. Davis, we had a question from a viewer earlier. You mind, can you tackle that question right there real quick? You see it?
Yeah. When a person has some sort of lumbar fusion, or if they go in and they add hardware in and they lock a couple of the vertebrae down, to go in and chiropractically move that, it's not going to move because it's actually fused. Some chiropractors, I myself, will work on people who have the fusions, but you have to know where to stay away from and where you can go. If a person has a fusion at, say, L2 and L3, you can work below the fusion and above the fusion, but you have to have very specific chiropractic care. You have to have state-of-the-art x-rays, line analysis, the nerve scans that we do. You got to know exactly what you're doing when you go in there. And if you do, it won't cause any problems. I actually have a friend of mine, he's a neurosurgeon, and he does these surgeries, and he actually states that once your body recognizes the hardware and your body starts to lay, osteoclast and all this new bone surrounds the fusions and the surgeries, most of the time, it's so strong, nothing can go wrong there anyway. The hardest part about it, and what people don't realize, is if you go in and fuse an area or two segments together, a lot of times the bones below and above have to take up the movement for the fused area. So you actually can cause, the degenerative process and osteoarthritis to take place above and below it. And it can be a trickle effect where you may have to have multiple surgeries. But some chiropractors will work on the, people who have had the fusions. Some just choose not to deal with it. I'm the type person, if you're dealing with 75% pain, if I can decrease your pain by 10 to 20%, do you think it's worth it? Absolutely. So that's the reason why I'm very specific with my care, and I work on patients who have the fusions. I hope that answered your question.
All right. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And we'll reach out to that viewer there and see if we can get her in contact with you. Okay.
Tell her to come see me.
All right. All right. So we want to switch gears a little bit. It's time to celebrate a little bit. It's time to celebrate. So we got some good news yesterday. President Biden made Juneteenth a national holiday. So tomorrow, Juneteenth, as we celebrate Juneteenth, it will be a national holiday. And so we have LaToya McGuinn. She's the site administrator over in the Chiropractic office. She's going to talk to us a little bit about Juneteenth, what it is, why we celebrate it. And here at CareSouth Carolina today, we are wearing, the staff are wearing that green, that black, and that red in semblance of the African flag. That's right. And she talk to us a little bit about the semblance of those colors as well. So I'm going to give LaToya the floor and talk to us about Juneteenth. And I mean, what really is Juneteenth?
Okay, so Juneteenth is near and dear and special to my heart, but it actually, what it is, June 19th, it commemorates the emancipation of the last remaining slaves in the U.S. So what happened, pretty much the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect January 1st, 1863. However, all of this that freed all of the slaves in the states. However, all of the slaves were not aware that they were free. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to June 19th of 1865, which was about 2.5 years later, in the state of Texas, there were still about 200,000 or more slaves still enslaved in the state of Texas. So on June 19th, 1865, a general from the Union Army reached Galveston, Texas, which was the last town, and made the announcement to Galveston, Texas, to those slaves that they were free. So hence Juneteenth was born, and it was celebrated the next year. It has been a holiday in Texas for years, forever. But the celebration has always been big in Texas. That's the home of it. Galveston, Texas is the home of it. And it's spread out to communities across the U.S. over the years. There have been small celebrations, festivals all over the U.S. I personally learned about Juneteenth maybe about 20 years ago. And I moved to Charlotte in 2005. And they've had a festival there in Charlotte for 20 plus years. And it was great. It was very super enlightening. I mean, they would have vendors, African drummers, dancers, all kind of entertainment. It was just a beautiful celebration. And it's very important to our community because although, July 4th is the independence of the United States, African Americans were not free July 4th of 1776. We didn't officially all of us didn't gain our freedom from slavery until Juneteenth, June 19, 1865. So that's why that date is important to us. That's why this is such a big deal that it's becoming a federal holiday. And it feels good. I'm super excited. I'm happy that CareSouth is honoring. And CareSouth has actually participated in the Juneteenth Festival, 2018 and 2019. Myself and my colleagues, we brought the holiday to the area. We wanted to, make people around Chesterfield County area aware of the holiday, and we put a festival on. And it was actually before I was employed, the June before I started with CareSouth, and I reached out to Tamara Hilton in HR. She's a friend of mine. I've known Tamara about 20 years, and she put me in touch with Marek. And so CareSouth participated in our Juneteenth Festival 2018 and 2019. Of course, we didn't have it last year, and this year it was still kind of up in the air, but we hope to bring that back next year. And of course, I'm bringing my organization back with me again for that. So I'm super happy and super excited about it. And you saw the colors. So the colors, red, black, and green, are actually the colors of the Pan-African flag. The red, that represents the blood of our ancestors. The black represents the people, and the green represents the land, the motherland of Africa. So that's the story behind the colors associated with Juneteenth. Yellow is in there also. Yellow was added. I can't remember exactly which year, but it was added in the Caribbean islands. The Caribbean islands added yellow to the red, black, and green for the sun, obviously. So that's where the yellow comes in at, and that's the history of Juneteenth. And one other little nugget I'll provide you with, I don't know if you know this, but in African American churches, we do watch night service. And I don't know if you guys would know, watch night service is New Year's Eve. Your mama drags you to church, whether you want to go or not, you just have to go. But it actually traces back to emancipation as well, Freedom Night, where the original emancipation for January 1st, 1863, when it was signed, December 31st, that New Year's Eve, the slaves all gathered and celebrated. The ones that were aware that the emancipation was about to be signed, they gathered to watch the new year come in because they were going to be free the next day. So if you didn't know that, that's another nugget that I think is interesting when it comes to that too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that, because I did not know that.
Yeah, I knew that, Marek. I knew that. I just didn't want to go to church and stay in church all night, man. I mean, all
Me
night.
neither.
The only time it became fun and eventful for me when they started giving us breakfast. So I had something to look forward to. But I did understand, and it was important to my parents and their parents. It was very important because we're descendants of slaves, and they understood the importance of that day. And we did watch and we celebrated when the clock struck 12:01. So
Absolutely, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is wonderful, and I'm thank you for explaining that to us and bringing that history to us. And thank you, Ms. Ann, for allowing us as an organization to celebrate that Juneteenth. And so I look forward to, now it being a national holiday, we're celebrating it even more as we move forward in the organization, and it being a recognized holiday for the organization. Sorry, something stuck in my throat. My bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you for that history lesson, and thank you all for coming on the show today. Dr. Davis, that person that asked the question, she said she's making an appointment now, sir. Yeah. So
Good deal.
might need to break us off a little finder's fee for facilitating that.
Hey, Dr. Davis, that's me asking for money. That ain't Smallest violin. That's me asking for money.
That's CareSouth's money. I don't have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and thank you. Yes, thank you for all of you for coming on today and to build. Yes, America is a great place to live. Thank you for coming on and celebrating with us as we celebrated 1 year of the CareSouth Carolina Community Live podcast. We look forward to, as we go forward, another great year, some more great things for CareSouth programs and services that will be coming forth for our community, because it's for our community and our patients what we do. This is why we do it.
I like the new look of the podcast too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It's gonna be
Thank you.
neat.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Nice job.
All right. So as we close out today, as always, you can contact us on our website at www.caresouth-carolina.com, or you can call us at 866-498-0399 if you want more information about our program and services, as well as information on a SNAP program and how we can assist you in signing up for SNAP and other programs such as that. And if I could give a thanks to our partners here at SC Thrive, because that's where I'm at today for meetings. I stepped away for a minute. They have a wonderful new building, and inside this building, there's also the Center for Community Health Alignment, the South Carolina Community Health Workers Association, and PASOS. So they're right down the street from the PCA. Instead, when you get to, instead of turning right, they turn left.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Good to know. Cool.
Yeah. So, thank you, and we're going to end today. And thank you for a wonderful podcast. And have a wonderful weekend. And we will see you, as always,